Hello everyone, I'm Technic, and welcome to Little Mod Combos. This is a series where I go over different mods that I think work well together, and I'm accepting any suggestions that you have for your own mod combos. Without further ado, today I'm going to be covering Bountiful Fares and Farmer's Delight, which I think are excellent mods to make the food systems of Minecraft way better and way more fun, honestly, to interact with. And let's just get into this. Starting off with Bountiful Fares, let's go through all the different tree saplings. Oh, I see that we have an advancements thing. Oh yeah, that's one thing that I didn't cover in my initial recording. I didn't show any of the advancements as they came up because I just gave myself all the things to show them. So, starting off, we got the apple sapling, the orange sapling, the lemon sapling, the plum sapling, and the golden apple sapling. Let's take ourselves a bit of bone meal and let's see what all these trees look like. And lastly, the golden apple sapling. Alright, now, I didn't actually know that bees could spawn on these trees. That's very cool. We have the apple saplings. We have the apple tree here, not the apple saplings. Blah, I can't talk. And what you can do is you can actually right-click on the fruit, and you'll get the achievement Green Thumb. Basically, this is just how you pick the fruits off of the trees instead of breaking them, because I'm pretty sure if you break them, it'll just completely break all the roots. But if you do this, then they're able to regrow. This applies to all the things, such as oranges, lemons, plums, and even the golden apples over here. Usually, you can use bone meal on these things to grow them, but I believe for golden apples, you can't actually bone meal them, which, good balancing. This is pretty much the basis of a lot of what is in this, but it's not everything, because we don't have just these trees in Bountiful Fares, we also have wild crops. If we go into the Bountiful Fares menu, we can actually see all those in order. We have wild wheat, wild carrots, wild potatoes, wild beetroots, wild maize, wild leeks, wild passion fruit, and wild elderberry, as well as wild woody, as well as spongekin. But yeah, with that being said, let's grab all of our different crops. So let's grab an apple, an orange, lemon, plum, and even a golden apple. Nice. We have all of our baseline fruits that we can get from trees. If it's like anything in Minecraft, then you just gotta eat them. No, you can actually use them in different recipes. Let's start with something like the apple. You can actually make it into apple blocks, which I think are very cool for like just a goofy little build. You can make apple compote cups, which is a type of drink that is added in the mod. Golden apples, that's vanilla of course. Apple pie, candied apples, apple stew, apple pie, fruit salad, horse feed, just like all these different things. And like that's just for apples. And we haven't even gotten into like things like fermenting and stuff, which I will go into later. Now that we've covered all the different fruits that we can get from trees, let's cover some different things in Bountiful Fares, such as ceramic. Now, ceramic is very, very, very good for builders because it's able to be dyed. As you can see, it says dyeable. Well, let's just get a light blue dye and let's get a crafting table. You can actually do that, but it's not actually the main method that you want to be going for. Instead, you can place down your ceramic and then you can get different kinds of dyes. And then watch this, artisan brush, cyan dye, blue dye. You can combine the colors and then paint them. Do you see how insane this is for building? You can bring about hundreds of color combinations just because of maybe just these two things. But then again, you also have more things to do with ceramic, like ceramic tile pillars. You can make ceramic dishes, doors, trapdoors, levers, buttons, just like it's so useful for building. And like, I don't know why as a builder you wouldn't want this mod, because this mod isn't just about adding food items, and we haven't even really gone through the food items other than just like the basic of like the fruits and stuff, and we only went through like the apple recipes and such. But there's also other things that are in this that you can get, like feldspar, which is an essential part in making ceramic. Here, let me actually like grab this feldspar. Like, look at that. That's like such a neat like thing that you could pair with maybe granite for like a bit of texturing. Like I can see the potential. I can see like bricks, mud bricks, feldspar, and granite. Like here, let me see what that would look like. Just like this nice looking like texture, textury look. You know? Oh yeah. This is cool. I love the way the Jacko straws look. I think they're so cool. And I just like, I think this is such a Minecrafty approach to making like, scarecrows. That's what the term is. Man, I completely forgot what the term was. But yeah, the cool thing about these guys is that they all actually have their own unique faces to them. And so if you don't want this like, bleh, look on the white one, you can go for like a cyan. He's like, oh, he's like all goofy looking. And then you can like go to the red one. He's like, eh. Then for the magenta, you can go to like, eh. Just like different things like that. It's things like this that I think just make stuff neat. Like, look at how adorable this is. Like, he's just sitting there. He's just being all cute and like guarding the crops from all the evil birds and such. But Minecraft doesn't really have birds other than parrots. But if you wanted to add some birds, I don't know if they would be messing with your crops or whatnot, and I don't think they would be scared by these, but it's more aesthetic if anything. There's even some like super minor building blocks like grassy dirt, which spawns naturally in world generation, and all you need for it, grass seeds and any kind of dirt really. And then you can just like have this nice like natural looking path block. So if you wanted to like a path to your farm, then you could do that and it like looks all natural and stuff. You know, just like make a nice earthy look to your trails, to your crop farms, you know? But I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to go through more of the features instead of just like showing all the things that you can do. Because honestly, what I'm here for is I'm just showing the kind of potential that you can have with all these different building blocks and all these different crops. I'm not here to tell you what to do. That's for you to figure out. I'm just showing you that these mods exist so that you can play with them. But enough about that. Moving on. This mod also adds depth to another very underutilized feature of Minecraft, the sniffer, by adding in a couple new sniffer plants, like hoary seeds and lapis berries. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, what are hoary seeds for? Let's see what kind of crop that grows into. Well, let's see here. Boop, 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 boop. It seems it's having issues. You get a nice, weird tree that looks like this, and it even comes with its own crop, hoary apples, which they look like this, and like I'm pretty sure you can also make them into hoary apple blocks. I'm like, oh, whoa, wait, hold on, can you, wait, I didn't even know about that. Can you do that for the other ones? That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh my god, that's so cool. You can do this. Oh, and it's affected by gravity. Can you like see the outskirts of it from like the? Oh no, you can't. Dang, that's. It's still really cool though, since it's got like a little overhang on it. It's like such a small thing, and it's like so unnecessary. But like, it's a good kind of unnecessary. And you can get these from snippers in order to get a new wood type, which is a nice deep and dark wood type. You know, I think a really good way to add in like a gray or like a black wood. And like I can imagine this being paired with pale oak, because actually this version isn't on one that has the Garden Awakens. But if you do a backboard mod, then I bet you could like make some wood checkered patterns. That's pretty cool. There's a lot of building potential there. And I know that like I'm covering this farming mod as if it's a building mod, but it's got so much utility in that area that I think it could just be enjoyed in that way, you know? But I can't focus on this too long. I need to move on to the other features. Like coconuts. Coconuts are in the mod, and you can even use them to make things like coconut candles. Like, look at this. Ain't that just neat? And of course, you can take the coconuts themselves and make them into like coconut cake, and like coconut stew, coconut crusted cod, coconut milk. Just like all these different very like small things that I think add a lot to Minecraft's food and building systems. The mod also adds another kind of wood type through walnut trees. I'm not actually sure how you can get like walnut saplings, but I think it's a very nice wood type that pairs really well with spruce, in case you want to do like texturing there, like spruce, walnut. You know, combine those together, you got like a nice textured wall, stuff like that, you know? It's just like, it's nice. It's very good. It's very good for builders. It's very good for people who aren't builders but just want another wood type in order to make their basic shack, you know, stuff like that. You can even make it into things like walnut candles, walnut cookies, crusted beef. Like it's a bunch of little things that add up to make a lot. Speaking of little things, don't mind the lack of my hair. I needed to disable it because of 3D skin layers. But you have a straw hat! And it even gives you a little achievement that says, who's the farmer now? Because you're the farmer. But yeah, I've been gushing over all these like little things that aren't even like related to the food aspect of the mod in the food mod. And so let's actually look at some of the different food items that you can make. You make teas, which give you different effects and like remove different effects, like honeysuckle tea. It removes wither, weakness, and the acidic effect, which I will be covering what that does. It adds pickled spongekin, pickled beetroot, fowl flesh, citrus essence, you know, all these things. It adds shulker tiffins, which are basically just like containers for your food in case you want to just like put something in a container like that. I don't know. I don't really understand the purpose of the shulker tiffins as of now because like you can't put multiple foods into them, so they're not like a food bundle or anything. I guess they're convenient if you want to like pass food to another player and just want like convenience. But like at that point, why not just use like a backpack mod or just like hand the food by like going into your inventory and just like hand throwing it directly out with your mouse. It's still a cool feature and it gives a little more depth to the shulker shell. We got stuff like tropical medley, stone stew, stuffed hoary apples, crusted beef, sea salad, cooked egg, a Meyer medley, and apple stew. It even adds new paintings. Like if we were to take aquaculture and we were to take like unpleasant tiles, phylogenesis, like all those different things. Let's place ourselves unpleasant tiles. Hey, that's kind of like unpleasant from Regretivator. Pretty cool if you know the reference. And then you got stuff like aquaculture, which just like adds the spongekin stuff. You have stuff like phylogenesis and like that's cool. Like I'm not going to show every painting because I want you to explore that yourself and I want you to enjoy this mod for yourself. I'm not going to show everything. So go play the mod. After you finish this video, though, because I haven't gotten to Farmer's Delight and all the other features of Bountiful Fares. Speaking of, let's go to another major feature of Bountiful Fares. Oh yeah, two different blocks, the grist mill and the fermentation vessel. We can place down the grist mill and we can place down the fermentation vessel. These are new different kinds of tables that are added through this mod. Okay, advancements, you need to chill out. While Farmer's Delight opts for things like a cooking pot, a stove, and a skillet, and a cutting board, Bountiful Fares does things a little bit differently. By adding the grist mill. First of all, let's cover that. It can be crafted with bricks, wood, and iron, but it can be used to mill things like wheat, and it turns it into flour. But it's not only for stuff like flour, it's stuff for things like ores as well. So you can take an emerald ore, put that inside, and make 3 emeralds. 1 redstone ore turns into 6 redstone dust. Amethyst from blocks of amethyst. 8 golden nuggets from nether gold ore. Coal from deep slate coal, which is you've never seen before. I bet you've never seen deep slate coal. Just all these different things that add a little more depth to certain features. Like this makes Silk Touch more useful because then you won't need another pickaxe that has like fortune, or you don't need to like smelt it down because then all you need to do is throw it through the grist mill. And then the fermentation vessel is really good because it allows you to make things like elderberries into elderberry wine, fowl flesh, hoary cider cups from hoary apples, pickled beetroots for beetroot, which can be used in things like meadow medleys. And just like, it adds a little more depth to the food system and adds like a little, just one more layer that you need in order to make certain foods. And I think that's cool. And it's just like, it's a bunch of little cool things that I think make stuff like this very much worth it to get into modded Minecraft over. Bleh, I can't speak. But I won't cover everything that Bountiful Fares has to offer because I want you to try it yourself. Now, let's move on to Farmer's Delight. Farmer's Delight has the backbone of it based in the stove, the cooking pot, the skillet, and the cutting board. Now, let's go over all of those. So let's place down a couple of stoves, put a cooking pot on this one, and get a little advancement. Dinner served, even though it hasn't been made yet. You can place the skillet down onto here, and let's put a cutting board onto here. Now, all of these are very useful in making like different food concoctions and stuff. The skillet basically functions as a better campfire. It works faster and it can contain an entire stack, which in my mod pack that I'm using here, which if you guys want it, I might release it at some point after I do a couple more of these little mod combo videos. It allows you to put a full stack, and in my case, that full stack size is 256, so let's take a potato, for example. Boop, throw them all on, and then all we gotta do is wait a couple seconds. Boom, and then you got yourself a baked potato. And I think that's very cool because, like, it just makes an upgraded version of an already extremely good block. And you don't even need to fuel the stove. Like, this isn't a creative feature. If I give myself a stove and I go into survival, boom, it's already powered. The cooking pot is really where Farmer's Delight shines because some of its recipes are completely inaccessible through the crafting table and are only usable through the cooking pot. If we go into its UI here, we can see that it has 6 things, a bowl of some sort, and then the result. And so let's make something like, let's look at any recipes that involve chicken, cooked chicken. Or maybe just raw chicken? Yeah, here we go, cooking. We can take raw chicken, a carrot, cabbage, and another carrot. So let's take raw chicken, carrot, and cabbage. We throw those all in here. Oh, it's making something, it's making something. And then we can't actually get it yet because we need a bowl. It's not included right off the gate. We actually have to put one in. And boom, then you have access to your chicken soup. And then let's eat that. Nom, 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 nom. And in the case of something like the chicken soup, it gives you the comfort effect, which, yet again, I'll be going through all of the effects later on. It's not so overcomplicated that it's super difficult to get into. All you need to do is you look at a food item that you want to say that you want to cook in EMI, and you say, oh, how do I make grilled salmon? Well, I can make it in a crafting table with salmon, sweet berries, bowl, an onion, and cabbage. Or how do I make fried rice? You can only make it in a cooking pot with carrot, egg, rice, onion, and a bowl. And like, yeah, it's just like super simple. And I think that's one of the greatest strengths of these mods is they're not too complicated and they don't stray too far from the currently existing food systems. They just add on to them with features that aren't overcomplicated, that aren't like, oh, you need to like go onto the wiki to figure out what these things do. The only thing that you really need to use the wiki for is a single status effect given by a couple of food items. Farmer's Delight not only adds this, but it also adds its own crops. We can see that it adds cabbages, tomatoes, onions, and rice. Farmer's Delight also adds things like rich soil, which can be sourced from organic compost by placing it in the world, and then it'll slowly convert into rich soil. Farmer's Delight even adds aesthetic storage through things like crates and cabinets, where in the case of something like the carrot crate, oh, you got like a crate full of carrots. You can't right-click on it to access any of them, but if you notice the recipe, it involves 9 carrots, which, good way to make a little bit of like just aesthetic stuff that's also functional. So if you ever need like a handful of carrots, just, oh, I'm gonna break through this crate, boom, I pick it up, and then all I gotta do is decraft it, boom, I got a carrot. Farmer's Delight also adds things like tree bark, canvas, and straw. Straw is derived from, I believe, harvesting crops with a knife, and so if we go over here and we left click, boom, we cut through it and we get some straw. And then if we see the recipes that involve straw, we can see that it makes leads, packed mud, straw bales, tatami blocks, organic compost, rope, and canvas. And then canvas is even more useful because it allows you to make paintings, books, scaffolding, baskets, tatami blocks again, canvas rugs, and even canvas signs. Honestly, that is just my favorite feature of the canvas, is being able to make canvas signs. Like, look at this. Hello, I like farming mods, :3. I don't want to say just like it's nice for builders again, but like, yeah, it's nice for builders who also like farming and want to get like more building blocks from all these different systems instead of just making a fence full of billions of animals. But yeah, Farmer's Delight also adds something unique to it. I think they're called feasts. And so if we take something like the honey glazed ham, we can see that we can place it down. And then if I try to right click it to eat it, it says you need a bowl to eat this. And so if I take a bowl and I hold it in my hand, I can get different amounts of the food. And so I got 4 plates of honey glazed ham here. You can see how insane it is because it feels like, what is it, 7 hunger bars and then does 11 bars of saturation? That's more than the player even has. And then to add on to that, it even adds the nourishment effect. But there's so much incentive to go for all of these different foods, not even just for the whole prospect of having a nice food, but also just like aesthetically, because like, what if you want a stuffed pumpkin? Like, what if you were hosting on your server an event where you needed like a Thanksgiving dinner type thing? Well, get yourself a stuffed pumpkin, get yourself a roast chicken, place those next to each other, boom, you got like a nice table, big ol' food. There's a lot of potential for like servers just like having a bunch of fun with these different mods. And I think that's very cool, and I actually have seen some servers that like use mods like this. It's also just really satisfying crafting your own feast for the first time. I don't know, I just like, can you tell I like modded Minecraft? And that I think these mods like fix the food issues of Minecraft in innovative ways? There's so much depth to both of these mods that I want to go over, but I don't want to ruin the surprise because I just want you to play the mods for yourself and play both of them together. This series is literally called Little Mod Combos for a reason. These mods I'm coming up with are meant to be played with together. But let's go over some last few things before we finish off today, alright? And that is the effects. Let's get the acidic effect. So if we drink it, we go into survival, nothing really happens because nothing is meant to happen yet. And it only is meant to happen when we get another effect. So let's get something like Poison 1. And let's drink it up. It is amplified to Poison 3 because it's adding based on the level of acidity that you have. This has some insane PvP potential for splash potions. And you might be thinking, oh, well, I don't want to be just like screwed over by someone else by them throwing acidity at me. That's where this next effect is going to help you out. Stupor. Because what it essentially does is, let's do this again, is ouchie, 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 I'm gonna die. Drink the potion of stupor, it gets rid of all of your other effects and prevents them from even being added while the effect is active. Quite cool. I believe acidity doesn't work for the effects that were added with trial chambers like oozing and stuff. Now, of course, because these are both food mods, there is bound to be some overlap of ideas. Nourishment and, ebullience. What they essentially do is they prevent your saturation and hunger from ever going down. And they usually both do it for about 5 minutes. And so if I were to get high in the air and then drop down again, because my saturation doesn't go down, I just heal right back up, which I think is incredible. And it's essentially the same with nourishment, except it gives you a different visual effect. Not necessary to show, you find out yourself. The comfort effect is kind of similar, because if you have a full hunger bar and you have the comfort effect, it will heal you as long as your hunger is full. It's added to some smaller foods like mushroom stew and beetroot soup and stuff, so it incentivizes to actually interact with those foods more because they are a bit expensive as a recipe. Like, there's more depth than just hunger. There's like PvP potential. There's like this potential for just like making a nice short little meal that's simple to make but like has some complicated ingredients and stuff. It's a bunch of cool stuff. And then finally, our last effect that we can get is called enrichment. What it essentially does, it just gives you a light boost to all of your stats, like your running speed, your attack damage, and your attack speed as well. But of course, in case you don't want to like see a mod showcase video in order to learn all these different things, you can always resort to the advancements menu, which both of these mods add their own categories. In Bountiful Fares, you have all these different things like obtain a sun hat, pick a ripe fruit, get the grist mill, and also Farmer's Delight has its own. Like, some meals are big enough to be placed down with shared with friends. A glorious feast. You know, just like, use the advancement system if you want to just like go in completely blind. Just like, there's so much to be done, especially in combo with like other mods as well. And that's actually something I wanted to go over. If you are just like a person who wants to advance the system into the Nether and the End, I would recommend Nether's Delight and End's Delight, or Ender's Delight if that's more your speed. I don't actually know too many of the differences between End's Delight and Ender's Delight, but I believe that they are both good and I would recommend only one being used at a time. But if you want to add something that had some more adult beverages, you can get the Brewin' and Chewin' mod, which adds stuff like beer and vodka, and also pizza and cheese. I like cheese. If you're like me, and you like playing with the Create mod, you can add things like Create Food, Create Slice and Dice, and Create Central Kitchen. But with that being said, I recommend that you go check out these mods for yourself. My name has been Technic. Thank you for watching.